Carol Anne Riddell, and welcome to Arts in the City. We are coming to you today from the Queens County Farm Museum, a perfect place to celebrate the season. So, what will you find here? Sustainable food, tons of educational programs, and at this time of year, pumpkins. Lots of pumpkins. We kick things off with all things Halloween. Ari Goldberg has more on the sweet, scary fun you won't want to miss.
Welcome to our Halloween of horror.
Welcome to our Halloween Roundup. Halloween in New York means something different for everyone, be that a family trip to a pumpkin patch or a raging party. So here's a rundown of some activities you can do this season, costumed or not.
If the decorations at this house are your thing, maybe you'd enjoy a haunted house. Two of the most famous are Jekyll and Hyde Haunted Asylum in the West Village and Blood Manor in Tribeca. You can buy tickets for both into early November.
Or maybe you'd like the real thing, some real graveyards, some real hauntings. Then you can take a guided walking tour through New York City's most historically haunted neighborhood, Greenwich Village. Or a guided tour through the catacombs of one of New York City's most famous churches, the Basilica of Old St. Patrick's Cathedral, exploring areas not normally open to the public. Both open for bookings all month long. Now, of course, New York's biggest Halloween event every year is the Halloween Parade. But there's also an annual dog parade, the Tompkins Square Costumed Dog Parade, Saturday, October 23rd, being held this year at the East River Park Amphitheater. And if events in a park like that light your jack-o'-lantern, there are Halloween-themed movie nights all October, weekends at the Queens Botanical Gardens, and the annual Pumpkin Flotilla, sailing lit and carved pumpkins out on the water from Central Park's Harlem Meer on Halloween night. But don't think the festivities stop with just Halloween itself. Celebrate Dia de los Muertos at Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn, lasting from October 31st through November 2nd, with crafts, activities, and food for the traditional Mexican holiday honoring departed loved ones. Free and open to all, donations encouraged. And whatever you do for Halloween, chances are you're going to want a costume, right? Halloween Adventure in the East Village, a New York institution for all things costume, props, and magic, is a must visit. Whether you want to drop $20 on an off-the-shelf devil costume or hundreds of dollars on a full suit of armor. But whatever you get up to this month, be it doggy parades or orange jumpsuits, we'd like to wish all of you a happy Halloween from CUNY TV. For Arts in the City, I'm Ari Goldberg.
If you're like me and you love a scary movie or two at Halloween, settle in with your popcorn and candy. Our Neil Rosen has his top picks for your personal fright fest.
I said talk to me, damn it, or else I'm gonna throw you in the fire!
If you're looking for a horror movie this Halloween, there's tons of scary films out there that are readily available to either stream or watch on demand. Some are strictly for adults, but there's also a few that are not so frightening that the whole family will enjoy. But let's start with some hair-raising tales for grown-ups.
Tony, I'm scared.
If you've never seen The Shining, it's a spine-chilling classic as a seemingly normal family moves into an isolated hotel in the dead of winter. Along the way, Jack Nicholson goes mad and terrorizes everyone.
Here's Johnny!
The great Stanley Kubrick directs, and it's based on a novel by Stephen King. Speaking of classics, Rosemary's Baby takes place at New York's famed Dakota apartment building, where Mia Farrow gets pregnant and just may be carrying the child of Satan himself. No one, including her husband, played by John Cassavetes, believes her, and they label her as crazy.
Somebody help me!
This one's a wild ride. In the recent remake of The Invisible Man, everyone around Elizabeth Moss thinks she's crazy when she claims her dead husband is back from the grave and trying to kill her. Is he really dead? Is he a ghost? Is there some other sinister force at work? Or is Moss's character simply out of her mind?
Are you okay?
Someone's sitting in that chair.
Well, you'll just have to check out this entertaining scarefest and find out for yourself.
Get out. Sorry, man. Get out!
In Get Out, Oscar-winning actor Daniel Kaluuya stars in this scary tale about a young couple who go upstate to visit his girlfriend's parents for the weekend. At first, things seem kind of normal, but some wild twists and turns ensue as a series of increasingly disturbing discoveries lead Kaluuya to a truth that he never could have possibly imagined. It was written and directed by Jordan Peele. For fans of old-time horror, check out the original Frankenstein, along with its superior sequel, The Bride of Frankenstein, both starring Boris Karloff. Then lighten the mood and watch Mel Brooks' hilarious parody of both of those films in Young Frankenstein, with a great cast including Gene Wilder and Peter Boyle as the monster. Carrie is one of my favorite horror films. Be sure and watch director Brian De Palma's original from 1976, and not the recent remake, as Sissy Spacek, who has the power of telekinesis, wreaks havoc on her high school prom when she gets picked on by her schoolmates, including John Travolta in one of his first film roles. Next, why not check out or revisit the movie Halloween? There's been 11 films in this horror franchise, but I'd go with the original from 1978, which marked the first appearance of murdering masked maniac Michael Myers. It starred Jamie Lee Curtis. It was her big screen debut and was directed by horror maven John Carpenter. I'd follow up that film with her return to the series in 2018, also called Halloween. It takes place 40 years later, and Curtis once again comes face to face with Myers for a big dramatic showdown on Halloween night after barely surviving his killing spree the first time around.
He's waited for me. I've waited for him.
Finally, who you gonna call if you want some Halloween laughs for the whole family? Why, the original Ghostbusters, of course, with Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Ernie Hudson, and Bill Murray, fighting supernatural forces all over New York City, complete with an unforgettable appearance by the giant Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Who you gonna call?
Happy Halloween, everybody, and happy movie watching. For Arts in the City, I'm Neil Rosen.
As New York City carefully reopens, we are digging into food and drink trends, the fun, the tasty, and the creative. And since it's Oktoberfest, we decided to sample craft beer. We found some flavors that might just surprise you. They certainly surprised me. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Beer with notes of pistachio and orange. This is not your stereotypical suds. Craft breweries have changed the beer game in ways you might not expect. I sat down with Martin Johnson, a writer and beer enthusiast. He also manages craft beer for a fancy grocery store. We met up at Other Half Brewing in Brooklyn, where we sampled everything from a lager to this delicious stout, which kind of blew my mind and taste buds. I really am getting the pistachio.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is almost like a high-end chocolate bar with pistachio and orange peel turned into a beer.
It could really be dessert, maybe.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Though the food and beverage industry was clearly hit hard during COVID, overall, the number of craft breweries in New York State has soared in recent years. According to the Brewers Association, we went from 75 craft breweries in 2011 to more than 400 in 2020. So what might be driving that? Here's Martin's answer.
Flavor. Flavor, plain and simple. A craft beer is a culinary experience. You get closer to the land, you are transported. You can taste the cherries in a sour. You can taste the citrusy overtones or the tropical fruit overtones in the hops of an IPA. You can taste the crispness, the kind of toasted English muffin backbone of a Pilsner.
That range of flavor can make for some interesting pairing options, well beyond the beloved burger and beer.
A particularly citrus-forward IPA might be something that you could put with Thai curry. You could take a sour that's made with berries, and it's an ideal accompaniment to halibut or tilapia or cod or some sort of whitefish, but a meaty fish, because then there's an acidity that breaks down the meatiness of the fish.
Anthony Finley, a brewer with Other Half, says the craft beer customer base is increasingly diverse.
In New York, it runs a pretty wide array. There's lots of different people that drink craft beer, and that diversity has grown a lot over the years.
And then there is the packaging, art, as Martin sees it. So much so, he has an Instagram page chronicling craft beer labeling.
It is colorful, it is whimsical, it draws you in. That's what it's intended to do. I have regulars on my aisle who don't drink, but they come by to look at the new artwork.
Art on your beer and in your glass. Next up, a hazy IPA with fruit overtones. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I love that beer.
Yeah. And you can see how you could put Thai curry with this. And
You could definitely do.
You could put enchiladas with this.
Yeah, you could do a spicy food with it.
Yes, absolutely.
If you've ever wanted to lounge with Lady Liberty, you've got the chance this fall. Inspired by the actual Statue of Liberty, a sculpture called Reclining Liberty is getting lots of attention in Upper Manhattan. Here's Donna Hanover.
The Statue of Liberty is in New York Harbor and sometimes in Times Square, but now she's also reclining in Manhattan's Morningside Park thanks to the work of sculptor Zach Landsberg.
The idea here is this symbol, the Statue of Liberty, symbolizing kind of American idealism. Is freedom, is justice always upright and tall, or is there a different stage?
Reclining Liberty is 25 feet long, and she was created in 20 sections.
I framed it out in 2x4s and plywood to get the kind of skeletal structure, and I built up insulation foam over that and then carved it down with sawzalls and box cutters to shape the foam. And on top of that, I mixed a kind of architectural plaster resin.
The original Liberty is green because her copper sheathing oxidized as expected. Reclining Liberty is green because the paint Zach used had copper flecks. He says he treated it with an acid wash while still wet to give it 75 years of oxidation in 45 minutes. The sculpture was made for this location.
It had to be kind of long and skinny based on the topography here.
Do you like it when you see children climbing all over Reclining Liberty?
Yeah. There's the hard coat over the foam, there's the primer, there's the paint, and then there's the kids climbing on it. That's the final kind of integral layer of it. I went through a lot of engineering and trouble to make it sturdy enough to do that.
So you're happy when it happens?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Zach also has a piece near the cloisters at the north tip of Manhattan that's based on the first woman to fight in the Revolutionary War, Margaret Corbin. Zach was raised in California and studied art at New York University. His work has been shown around the country and the world. Zach's previous sculptures include a bust of Confederate General Robert E. Lee made with fungus so that it grows bizarre tentacles like the Lost Cause myth of the Civil War. And he did a Last Supper that was a comment on commercialism with its use of fabrics and dishes purchased for their depictions of the famous painting. In 2014, Zach had a piece called Skywatch Spider in Socrates Sculpture Park in Long Island City. And there was his 2011 Stealth Fighter on Governor's Island. Many of Zach's works have a political message, and viewers can determine for themselves what they mean. Is Lady Liberty exhausted from the job of representing liberty in a country so divided? Has she been banished or tarnished?
People come up, they walk up the hill, they're tired, and so they say she's tired, you know? Some people say like she deserves a rest. Some people say she needs to get up, there's things to do. The whole piece is built so you're standing at eye level with her, right? So she's not towering above you.
But Zach has a good sense of humor about human nature.
This is a water jet cut sheet of steel, and all the spikes are connected. So like, you know, adults are able to do pull-ups on it because I knew it's going to be in the park, it's going to be unsupervised, and that this needed to be pretty rock solid.
Although you're not inviting adults to do pull-ups on. I'm Donna Hanover for Arts in the City.
what we see and how we're seen. It said the eyes are windows to the soul. An exhibition at Lehman College Art Gallery called The Eyes Have It looks at the significance of eyes literally and symbolically. Susan Junn takes us there.
The Lehman College Art Gallery is holding an exhibition called The Eyes Have It that explores the eye and its importance literally and symbolically in art. We spoke with Bartholomew Bland, the executive director of Lehman College Art Gallery, about putting together this exhibition.
And the eye is such a strong visual that it's enough of a through line to sort of pull you through a lot of different kinds of work in the show.
The Eyes Have It features mixed media works of 48 artists from all over the globe who all use imagery of the eye to communicate different messages through their work.
It fits very much into the gallery's idea of thematic exhibitions, which have a number of artists in them, and which we try to include artists of different races and ethnicities, different ages, particularly different media, because Lehman has an MFA and a BFA program, so we know that students will be looking at this work. So all of our exhibitions try to have a bit of a potpourri, smorgasbord, bouquet aspect to them, I guess.
Bartholomew walked us through the gallery and discussed a handful of works like the one by Pakistani artist Umara Abid, whose series Tempting Eyes comments on the politics and power of women's eyes in a place where women are oppressed and expression and even driving are frowned upon by the government. The exhibit also features the photographs of artist Laurie Simmons, in which the subject's eyes appear open but are in fact closed lids with painted-on eyeballs, and the works of Esperanza Cortez.
She was down in Lower Manhattan when 9/11 occurred, and she said one of the things that she remembered most vividly is that the people who were covered with gray ash, almost sort of hosed down with it, and that all she could see was their eyes, and that this idea that the eyes would be this kind of expressionistic experience for her. And so here, these are actually 500 individual eye portraits in watercolor. You see how the eye, my beady eye right now, is so universal. Nothing attracts like a face. There's something in the human psyche that recognizes the face and relates to it. And so, of course, the eye, being the window to the soul, as Shakespeare reputedly, a variation on that said, I think does draw people in.
Come check out the many eyes in the Lehman Art Gallery exhibit, The Eyes Have It, open through November 17th. And look out for the upcoming exhibition, Eco Urgency, which is in collaboration with Wave Hill, opening in December 2021. For Arts in the City, I'm Susan Junn.
Now to a story about how some senior citizens see themselves proud, beautiful, and bursting with color. Minnie Rowe has more on Chinatown Pretty, a collection of stories and photos that explores fashion, wisdom, and the ageless strength of the human spirit.
Head to any Chinatown in North America and you'll most likely come across a sight of elderly residents dressed in the most unique blend of colors and patterns that defy conventional fashion rules. The results are outfits befitting a trend-setting urban hipster, but they also tell a deeper story of their diaspora, their values, and culture.
There is a real flair for color and pattern and textures. A lot of the clothes are gifted or hand-me-downs or handmade.
Photographer Andria Lowe said she and her friend turned writing partner Valerie Liu would frequently meet in Chinatown to eat dim sum and people watch. Lowe says they began to wonder about the fashion stylings of the popos and gungungs, or grandma and grandpas, and the story behind what Lowe calls their unintentionally intentional clothing choices.
This project was also a way we could connect with our grandparents' generation. We saw a lot of our grandparents in the seniors out and about.
Over the span of 7 years, they approached seniors with Lowe's favorite pickup line,
which is "Po Po Ho Lang," and basically it means, "Grandma, you look good."
The two authors use fashion to delve into the story of their lives and how it influenced their one-of-a-kind outfits. Joyce Wing makes her own clothes, the Mandarin collar a nod to her Hong Kong roots, while the tailored lines reveal her skill as a seamstress upon immigrating to the U.S.
A lot of the women that we meet, like my grandparents and like Valerie's grandma as well, they worked as seamstresses in factories because upon immigrating, because that was really one of the only jobs they could get without knowing a lot of English.
Mrs. Yi paired a bright orange cap, plaid upon plaid, including this Madras blazer, which she said her daughter gave her as she left for college.
They're saving, they're reusing, they're recycling. And we like to say that they're, a lot of the fashion we see is on the, it's more sustainable, but they're not doing it, to earn green points there. That's just kind of how they live.
But for the most part, the fashion choices are driven by function.
They're always trying to keep the sun out, so they wear these big bonnet hats, really wide brim visors, sometimes even gloves. They're also trying to keep warm, especially in San Francisco Bay Area. There's tons of foggy days. They've been through so much. A lot of them have been through war, through family separation. They've started over in a new country without speaking the language. So they're very resilient, and this book is definitely a collection of stories about their resiliency and the strength.
Especially during the pandemic, when Chinatowns nationwide suffered crippling economic hardships and incidents of anti-Asian hate. The authors say this book is a celebration of this community that has persevered. I'm Minnie Rowe for Arts in the City.
We end today with the trick in our trick-or-treat season. Barry Mitchell chatted with globe-trotting sensation Joshua Jay. Turns out the way magicians think may be even more fascinating than any single illusion.
Did you hear about the magician who was walking down the street and turned into a restaurant? The restaurant is Tavern 29 right off Park Avenue, and the magician is the world-famous Joshua Jay. Welcome.
Thanks, Barry. Glad to be here. Jimmy, I have no idea how you did this, but you managed to fire a 5-foot boa constrictor.
Tell me about the new book.
It's called How Magicians Think, and this is my love letter to magic. This is sort of my answer to all the questions that we get asked as magicians, because it's always the same ones. People say, do you create your own tricks? Was Houdini as good as everybody says he was? What do you do if you mess up while you're on stage? There's these core curiosities about magic that people want to know about.
So do you consider magic an art or a craft?
Anything can be art when it's exceedingly well done. I call it a craft because a craft is something you work at your whole life. And that's what magic is. Great magic is a cocktail of many methods. It's psychology, it's misdirection, it's special technique, it's sleight of hand, it's lots of things working together.
I think I can say without giving anything away, I absolutely did not do a deck switch.
You did not do a deck switch? If you didn't do a deck switch, you fooled us is what you did.
And you create your own tricks.
Yes. Everything that I do, for the most part, is either original or is my iteration of something that somebody else has done.
YouTube has all these amateur magicians giving away secrets. That can't be good for you.
No, it's a problem. It is a truly 21st century problem. But the truth is, this is where the artistry of magic comes into play, because knowing how something's done is not the same as being able to do it.
And you also say in your book an audience needs emotional investment in the magic show. Why?
If I make a big red ball appear right now, you might say, I have no idea how you did that, but you're also going to say, that's really random. But if instead I said, Barry, can I borrow your cell phone? And I made your cell phone disappear and then reappear inside your hat, well, now you're personally invested in a simple way because it's your phone, but you care. So it's about finding ways to connect to people, to make the magic personal.
Josh, magic is not only your job, it's also your hobby, and you collect memorabilia. Show us some of your collection.
The first one is a fork bent by Uri Geller, the famous mentalist. He signed it from here. We shared the stage in 2013, and he bent this fork for me. Interestingly, this was on my shelf. I displayed it with great pride for many years. And I walked in one day, and the cleaning woman who assisted my apartment, I said, hey, there's a fork missing. Where was it? And she said, yeah, it was all bent up, so I straightened it out and I washed the black smudges off. So fortunately, I saw him again. I told him the story. He laughed. He bent me another fork, and this is fork number 2. You are now holding Houdini's handcuffs. Those are a set of handcuffs owned and from the collection of Harry Houdini, and you can see how small his wrists were. He only stood about 5'3" or so.
I like him already.
Yeah, that's right. And he would have escaped from these handcuffs in the 19-teens and 20s on his touring shows.
So cool.
We don't think of magic like we think of film and music and poetry as a form of self-expression. And my question is, why can't it be? Magic provides something that is rarer and rarer in this world, which is mystery. I mean, we are one click away on our phones from knowing everything, right? We need stuff that we don't understand, and I think magic provides that.
Joshua J., thanks so much.
Thanks.
The book is called
How Magicians Think.
And I want to thank Robert here at Tavern 29 for his hospitality. I'm Barry Mitchell, and you're watching the magical Arts in the City.
That is our show for today. Thanks so much for joining us. A quick reminder to check us out on social media. We would love to hear from you. I'm Anne Riddell. We'll see you next time on Arts in the City.